that benching it wasn't like, all right, we're done with Rojo. I think it was like, let's send a message to you. You can't let that happen where you fumble like that again. And now he does feel like he's the guy.
And then negative game script might not necessarily work against them. They were negative game script last week. They were down 24-7, almost going into the half. They had that turnover, I believe it was. And then Tampa goes up 24-4, or Tampa gets the Chargers get the touchdown. And then all of a sudden, it's a closer game, but Tampa kind of turned it on in the third quarter. Maybe, he gets a lot of those fourth quarter carries to put him over, but it's not like he got, 12 carries in that game because Tampa was behind a bunch. So even if they're behind, just because of the injuries on the offense, they could still feed it to him, expecting that they're going to catch up.
What else pops out to you? I've got one that I freaking love here, but what else pops out to you? I got a couple I like, but what else pops out?
I like Darnell Mooney. He's over his reception total is 3.5, and the over I think is still plus 120. The over on receiving yards is 38.5. He's seen more and more snaps as the season rolled on. He had 32% of the offensive snaps in week 1. He was up to 74% of the snaps last week. It's gradually increased, and now he's on the field a lot. And he seemed to click with Foles last week. He had 9 targets, which was 1 behind Allen Robinson. He was clearly the number 2 option in the offense. And he turned that into 5 catches for 52 yards. Chicago wasn't going to move the ball on the ground. We talked about Tampa's elite rush defense earlier. So I think he's going to have to throw a lot. He's going to rely on Mooney again. So I love getting the plus 120 on over 3.5 receptions. It just seems like a great price that should go over more often than not. And I would also play the over on the yards.
Okay. I'm going to throw out a couple that I like here. It's, you don't necessarily see these on every site, but they are on William Hill, our preferred partner for betting on sports. And I see a surprising Devin White over 6.5 tackles combined. He has 11, 15, 7, and then had 4 last week, which is in a different game script where the Chargers weren't running. If the Buccaneers have the lead, well, I guess that actually doesn't help anyway. But he's going to get over 6.5 tackles, I guess, is my point. I trust Devin White to get over 6.5 tackles. Is that do you like that? Do you like to dabble on this defensive?
Yeah, I actually did feature him in the article that if you're listening to this in an article, it's probably my betting preview, and I actually did put that in that post. I had that over because even though he had lower tackle numbers last week, it's not like he played any fewer snaps. He's still playing 100% of the snaps every week. So when he's on the field all the time at his position, you have to expect that he's going to get over 6.5 in most games. So yeah, I do like that. I think he goes over more often than not. It just depends on the juice you got to pay for it. Do you have it in front of you? Do you see what?
Yeah, it was minus 140, I think. Devin White minus 140, and I also liked Antoine Winfield over 4.5 at minus 130. You got to pay the juice. It stinks. But he's got 6, 11, 6, and then 2 last week. They just didn't rack up as many tackles last week.
Mm-hmm. And minus 140 is a little high because it gets to sit, you do that and he gets to 6 and you're like, dang it. Or
it's free money. And then all of a sudden you're just like you're watching to see if he makes a tackle. It's kind of a fun way to watch football.
It's definitely more likely than not that it goes over. So if you can get a decent price on the juice, I would go ahead and take that.
I like the under on Nick Foles passing attempts. And again, juiced minus 130, 37.5. Is he going to throw 37.5 times?
Yeah, it seems like a lot, but teams throw it a lot, have to throw it a lot on Tampa because they can't run it. So I kind of like the over on his completions. I believe it's like 23 or 21 or somewhere around there.
With that.
Because I could see a lot of shorter passes. That's kind of how they've made it work in the past, and that's how I think other teams have been able to attack Tampa is on shorter passes and trying to move the ball. Since you don't have a running game, you got to hit those short passes and make that your running game.
That's fair.
I could see his over on completions, and I probably wouldn't mess with the attempts because who knows how the game script goes. If they're down 2 touchdowns at halftime, he's gonna have to throw a lot.
I was even sort of thinking like you might get that under if Mitch Trubisky comes in.
That's true. But I don't think you can't flip back that quickly. If you're the coach at that point, you're just like hanging a fire me sign above your head.
That's true. What else stands out to you from a prop perspective?
Yeah. So my lottery ticket prop this week, let's look at Cameron Brate. Chicago has allowed 3 passing touchdowns this year. It's a very low amount, but let me see if you see a trend in the people that have caught passing touchdowns against them. TJ Hawkinson, Hayden Hurst, and Mo Alley Cox.
All former college basketball players.
All three tight ends. And Cameron Brate caught a touchdown last week when he had to play a few more snaps because of OJ's Howard injury. He jumped up to 21% of the offensive snaps. He's going to play more in this game with all the injuries at receiver. And, Brady loves throwing to those tight ends. He already caught that one last week. Got to think the trust is there. That's going to improve his odds. So you can get him to score any touchdown in the game plus 350. I think that's just a fantastic value considering all the way that this stacks up and all the details that I just went over. Then you can also get him to score the first Buccaneers touchdown at plus 1,400. I like that a little bit better than the first touchdown in the game, which is only plus 2,000. It just seems like you're getting a lot better value on the plus 1,400, just in case Chicago sneaks out with a touchdown early. You could still have a chance of cashing that. So I would look to first Bucs touchdown plus 1,400. If we think the Bucs are going to, win this game running away, I wouldn't necessarily look at last Bucs touchdown because that's the same price. But it just doesn't make sense that he would score the last one. It'd probably be Ronald Jones. So look, definitely play any touchdown, and then if you want to do a little lottery ticket, get that first Bucs touchdown at plus 14-1.
And if you're really feeling frisky, I don't hate player to score 2 touchdowns with Cameron Brate. He needs 2 touchdowns, 25-1. You get that first Bucs touchdown. Anytime score and 2 touchdowns. And if he scores 2, and that's entirely possible, given the way that the Bucs run their offense and how badly the Bears are at defending tight ends, that cashes and you're having a nice night no matter what happens with your DFS lineups. By the way, barely missed. I don't think I told Debo this. I barely missed cashing first place in the Tuesday MLB DraftKings big tournament or whatever it was. If that last Giancarlo Stanton swing, that was like a rope to left field that was caught, if it had gone out, I would have won $50,000 instead I won $500.
Still good.
Yeah, I'll take it. It's a cash. Speaking of DFS, Showdown tonight, of course, on DraftKings. That's where we like to do our stuff. You can play. They do, I think it's like 188,000 people playing these Showdown things where you pick a captain. It's like first place is $400,000. It's a nice little Thursday evening. If you can pull that off, more than likely you just want to get in the cash line. How would you attack this DFS lineup?
Yeah, so I think your 2 options at captain are Tom Brady and Ronald Jones. It should be easy to have Brady at captain and go because all these targets are out, so you can go pretty cheap on his targets and stack a couple targets with Brady and not spend a ton. So if you want to go that way, that's a safe way. That's probably what I'll do in like 50-50s and stuff. Go with that. If you want to go a little higher upside and kind of zig again, where some people are zagging, I'd go Ronald Jones. I actually kind of prefer him. I expect another 20 carries plus a score or 2 in the script that we were talking about for this game. And then a sleeper is the Bucs defense. I think it's interesting. We talked about how they've owned Foles in the past in his different spots. And so they've been playing really well. That Chicago offense struggled versus Indy. This is going to be a similar type of matchup for them. So I don't think Chicago scores a ton of points in this game. And I could see a few turnovers happening and that Bucs D cashing a lot higher than we think. Yeah.
So I think one thing to look at, and we've seen the Buccaneers win 2 games in a blowout so far this season. They beat the Panthers by 14 points. Oh, they were really only up 7, but I mean, they were leading most of the game. And then they throttled Denver thanks to the defense. Now in Denver, Brady threw for almost 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. In Carolina, he threw for 217 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. I think that you probably, if you go with Ronald Jones as a captain, do you bail on Brady as a flex guy?
I don't think so. I don't think you have to because this isn't one of those matchups where everybody that you want on your team is highly priced. You can get Brady and throw some of these cheaper guys in and still have him. And just the quarterback scores so much that you're really screwing yourself there. Because I don't think there's a situation where he has an awful game in this. I think he could have a low attempt game that's still efficient. A 16 for 20, 190 yards and 2 touchdowns, and that's the kind of thing that you want in your lineup. If it happens.
Here's a lineup. I'm just curious what you think about this. Rojo is captain, Buccaneers defense, Tom Brady, and then Anthony Miller, Allen Robinson. You rounded up with Ryan Suckup, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers kicker. You have like 1,100 left. You don't need to worry about money left on the table, in my opinion, in Showdown quite as much. Just get the winning lineup, right? And that's sort of okay, I think that the Buccaneers will run the ball a ton, play good defense, kick some field goals. Tom Brady will throw a couple touchdown passes. And then you're going to see Nick Foles throwing it deep and get garbage time points from Allen Robinson and Anthony Miller.
Yeah, I think you said you put Brady in and not Foles, but if you have those Bears pass catchers, then I would rather just take Brady out and put Foles in and hope for a big Foles game.
I just hope that they run the heck out of the ball and it's just Tom Brady
Yeah,
limited.
because if you're going to have Robinson and who else did you say? Miller?
Yeah, that's probably right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, just
You need to stack it with that.
Right.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. You take Brady in that situation. You take Brady out and go Foles, and you better pray Trubisky doesn't come in. But like this is Tom Brady's going to be he's going to be 70% owned in these lineups because it's Tom Brady. He just came off 5 touchdown passes. They're favored. He's the highest priced owned guy. He's going to be in all these lineups. And if the Buccaneers are just entirely ground game and defense based, and then the Bears have to try and score their points through the air, you have a pretty differentiated lineup, I think, that is a reasonable game script given the total and the spread.
Yeah, if you want to go differentiate lineup, you definitely focus on Bears players and maybe get Allen Robinson in as your captain and Foles in there, definitely another Bears guy, and then maybe just on the Tampa side, you're looking at the running back, and that's about it. Yeah, maybe even Keyshawn Vaughn, and trying to get a little pass catching touchdown if you think the Bucs will be behind. So that's kind of your contrarian lineup in that sense.
And look, it's only a 3.5 point spread, and the Buccaneers are not like the 2007 Pats. Like it's not unreasonable to suggest that you could go with. Go with I don't know about David Montgomery captain because it's hard to run against the Bucs, but like Allen Robinson captain, and you have Foles, Anthony Miller, and you have Brady, Keyshawn Vaughn, and Mike Evans coming back, or whatever, something like that. That will get you leverage against the field in the event that the Bears. I mean, you will be in a good spot if the Bears are actually leading.
Mm-hmm. My way to get leverage is to go with some of these unknown flex picks. We talked about Cameron Brate at 3,800. I think he catches a touchdown in this game. I'm going to want him at that price if he does.
Would you play Cameron Brate as the captain at all? I mean, we just talked about.
I don't think so because he's just not going to get a lot of targets and a lot of yardage. He's going to be a red zone weapon. So if you put him in captain, you got to have those multiple touchdowns if you put him in captain. Right.
Of course. Yeah.
And then the unknown guy, dig deep is Tyler Johnson, $200. He's a 5th round rookie. I think he's going to see a lot of playing time. Obviously, you got Godwin out, you got Watson out. Those are 2 slot options. Tyler Johnson, when he was drafted, was expected to be an option for the slot there. That's where he does his work. With Miller probably playing, but Evans, questionable. That could be even more snaps for Johnson. So I think even though he hasn't had a catch, he hasn't had a target this year. He did, I think, play 25% of the snaps each of the last 2 games, and that's going to go well up this game. So I think he's definitely getting targeted in the passing game. And at $200, you're getting profit and either way. So if you use both Brate and Johnson in your lineup, they'll let you go Brady, Jones, Nick Foles, and Allen Robinson in any configuration you want. And then if Brady's hitting Brate or Johnson, you're going to have a pretty good game there if you have Brady at captain, or you can throw Jones at captain, or you can go the Foles Robinson connection. Either way, you can do anything you want because you have so much money left over.
Yeah, and last week a T. Johnson caught a touchdown pass in the Bucs Chargers game. It's like, it's Tyler Johnson. I was like, wait, no, that's the Bucs. The Chargers have a T. Johnson too. All right, I don't know who the hell that guy is, but yeah, I mean, we saw on Sunday night with the 49ers and Eagles where Deebo Samuel, who was bare minimum price. I think Tyler Johnson's actually 300, but same price as Tariq Cohen and people on IR and OJ Howard. But Deebo Samuel was 200 or 300, and all he needed was 2 catches, and he pays it off. Like that's like, I mean, you get a little flame emoji above him if he does that. So that is certainly a way to go. All right, good look at this thrilling Thursday night game, RJ. Always a pleasure to chat with you, pal, and we'll talk soon.